The letter arrived on a Tuesday. Priya found it on the floor, a stark white envelope against the worn wood. Her sister's name, Anya, was written in elegant cursive. Priya hesitated, a chill crawling up her spine. Anya had been gone for months, vanished into the secluded St. Agnes convent. The convent, nestled high in the mountains, was a sanctuary, they said, for troubled women. But the silence from Anya was deafening.
Anya was gone. The letter called it a tragic accident.
Priya didn't believe it, not for a second. Anya had written to her every week, her letters filled with longing and a growing fear. Now, silence. It was a silence that screamed danger. Priya knew she had to go to St. Agnes. She had to find out what happened to her sister. The journey was long and arduous. The mountains loomed, their peaks shrouded in mist. St. Agnes sat alone, a forbidding silhouette against the gray sky. Unease coiled in Priya's stomach. The convent was imposing, its stone walls cold and damp.
"You are Priya," she stated, her eyes hollow and dark.
Priya stepped inside, the heavy oak door closing behind her with a resounding thud. The air inside the convent was heavy, thick with the scent of incense and something else, something faintly metallic. The hallways were dimly lit, shadows clinging to the corners. Priya followed the nun, her footsteps echoing on the cold stone floor. Everything felt wrong. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the rustle of habits and the occasional muffled cough. The nun, Sister Agatha, led Priya to a small, sparsely furnished room.
"You will stay here. Mother Superior will see you in the morning."
Priya was left alone. The room was icy cold, the only window overlooking a barren courtyard. She unpacked her meager belongings, her unease growing with every passing moment. The silence was broken only by the distant chanting, a low, mournful sound that seemed to seep into her bones. Night fell, and the chanting grew louder. Priya lay awake, her heart pounding in her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. She thought of Anya, of her letters filled with fear. This place held its secrets close, but Priya was determined to uncover them.
"You are here about your sister."
The next morning Priya was escorted to Mother Superior's chambers. The room was opulent compared to the rest of the convent, filled with rich tapestries and gleaming silver. Mother Superior sat behind a large, ornate desk. She was an woman, her face severe, her eyes sharp and calculating.
"You are here about your sister."
"Yes, Mother Superior. I want to know what happened to her."
Mother Superior's gaze was unwavering.
"It was a tragic accident. Sister Anya was a troubled soul. She wandered into the mountains and fell to her death."
Priya knew it was a lie. Anya would never have left the convent willingly, not after the fear she had expressed in her letters.
"But her letters."
Mother Superior silenced her with a raised hand.
"Sister Anya was prone to flights of fancy. You must accept that she is gone."
Priya refused to believe it. She could feel it in her bones. Anya was still here, somewhere within these cold stone walls. That night, Priya decided to explore. The chanting had stopped, replaced by an unsettling silence. She crept out of her room, her heart pounding in her chest. The hallways were even more unsettling in the darkness. Shadows danced on the walls, whispering secrets. She wandered through the labyrinthine corridors, her hand trailing along the cold stone. In the distance she heard a muffled sob. It was coming from behind a locked door. Priya pressed her ear to the wood. A woman was crying, her voice filled with despair. Priya tried the doorknob, but it was bolted shut. She listened for a moment longer, then continued down the hallway, the woman's sobs echoing in her ears. The air grew colder as she descended a flight of stone stairs. The stench of mildew and something else, something foul, filled her nostrils. She found herself in a dark, cavernous basement. Candles flickered in the gloom, revealing strange symbols etched on the floor. In the center of the room, a group of nuns stood around a stone altar. They were chanting in a language Priya didn't understand, their voices low and guttural. The woman from upstairs was on the altar, restrained on a stone slab. Her eyes were wide with terror.
This was no convent, it was a prison.
And these weren't nuns, but something far more sinister. Fear threatened to consume her, but Priya knew she had to find a way to escape. She had to tell the world what was happening within these walls, but first, she had to find Anya.
Priya retreated to her room, her mind racing. She couldn't confront them, not yet. She needed proof, something to show the outside world. As she searched the room, her hand brushed against something hidden beneath the loose floorboard. It was a small leather-bound diary. The inscription on the front read Sister Anne. With trembling fingers, Priya opened the diary. The first entry was dated a year ago.
They call this place a sanctuary, Sister Anne had written, but it's a prison. We are all prisoners here. The words tumbled onto the pages, a chilling account of forced rituals, disappearances, and an entity that haunted the convent's halls. Priya read on, her blood turning to ice.
Sister Anne wrote of Mother Superior's obsession with summoning a dark force, an entity she believed would grant her immortality. The rituals, she wrote, were growing darker, more desperate, and the entity was growing stronger.
The last entry sent shivers down Priya's spine. They know I've been writing, Sister Anne had scrawled, her handwriting frantic. They're coming for me. Mother Superior says the entity demands a sacrifice of blood. A cold realization washed over Priya. Sister Anne was Anya. Priya knew time was running out. She had to find Anya before it was too late. Armed with the knowledge from the diary, she ventured deeper into the convent's bowels, following the faint echoes of chanting. The air grew heavy, thick with a cloying sweetness that made her head spin. The chanting grew louder, guiding her towards a heavy iron-wrought door hidden at the end of a narrow corridor. This, Priya knew, was the ritual chamber.
She peered through a crack in the door. The room was dimly lit, the air thick with incense and fear. Anya was restrained on the altar, her eyes wide with terror. Mother Superior stood over her, a ceremonial dagger glinting in her hand. The other nuns, their faces hidden in the shadows, chanted in unison, their voices creating a chilling harmony. Priya's heart pounded against her ribs. She had to act fast.
Taking a deep breath, Priya threw open the door. The chanting ceased abruptly. All eyes turned to her, their expressions unreadable.
"Let her go!" Priya screamed, her voice echoing through the chamber.
Mother Superior turned, her face contorted in fury. "You dare interfere!" she hissed, her voice dripping with venom.
Mother Superior lunged at Priya, the dagger raised high. Priya dodged, scrambling back as the other nuns closed in, their movements eerily synchronized. Thinking fast, Priya grabbed a nearby candlestick and hurled it at a flickering oil lamp. The lamp shattered, engulfing the chamber in flames. Chaos erupted, the nuns screamed, their chanting dissolving into panicked cries.
Priya used the distraction to her advantage, racing towards Anya. She cut Anya's bonds with a shard of broken glass, ignoring Anya's pleas to leave her. They had to escape now.
Together, they navigated the smoke-filled corridors, the fire spreading rapidly behind them. Finally, they reached the main doors, their heavy oak a barrier between them and freedom. Priya slammed her shoulder against the wood again and again, the sound of the roaring fire spurring them on. Finally, the doors burst open and they tumbled out into the cold night air, gasping for breath.
As they fled into the darkness, the convent ablaze behind them, Priya dared to believe they were safe. They had escaped the nightmare of St. Agnes.
Priya and Anya didn't stop running until they were miles away from the burning convent. They collapsed by a stream, their bodies trembling, their lungs burning. For a long moment, there was only the sound of their ragged breaths and the rushing water.
Priya looked at Anya, her sister's face pale and drawn in the moonlight. But she was alive. "It's over," Priya whispered, wrapping her arms around Anya. "It's finally over."
They found shelter in a small village at the foot of the mountains. The villagers, though wary at first, took them in, offering food and a warm place to rest. Days turned into weeks. Priya watched over Anya, who remained withdrawn, haunted by the horrors she had witnessed. The authorities had been notified about St. Agnes, but the investigation was slow, hampered by the remote location and the fire that had consumed the convent. Priya tried to put it all behind her, to focus on Anya's recovery, but the nightmares lingered, the chanting of the nuns echoing in her dreams.
One morning, Priya woke to find Anya gone. Panic surged through her. She searched frantically for her sister, her mind racing with terrifying possibilities. Had someone followed them from St. Agnes? Had the nightmare returned? She found Anya in the bathroom, staring at her reflection in the mirror, her eyes wide with a terror Priya knew all too well. "Anya?" Priya whispered, her voice trembling.
Anya didn't respond. She just kept staring at the mirror, her breath coming in short, shallow gasps.
"Anya, what is it?" Priya asked, her heart pounding in her chest.
Slowly, Anya raised her hand, her fingers tracing the reflection in the mirror. Her touch was met by another, a ghostly hand mirroring her movement on the other side of the glass. Priya gasped, her blood turning to ice. The reflection in the mirror wasn't Anya, it was Mother Superior. Her eyes, cold and empty, stared back at them, a triumphant smirk playing on her lips. The reflection's lips moved, forming words Priya could hear as clearly as if she were standing right beside her.
You can't escape me, the reflection hissed, her voice a chilling whisper. The entity is bound to me. And now, she added, her eyes fixed on Anya, it has a new vessel.
Anya's reflection reached out, its fingers sinking into the mirror as if it were water. Priya watched in horror as Anya's reflection smiled, a cruel and chilling imitation of Mother Superior's triumphant grin. The mirror went dark. Priya screamed, her voice echoing in the small cottage, but it was too late. Anya was gone, and the nightmare, it seemed, had only